when you're going out for roles, what has been your experience with, being Latina, and what was that like?
So this is a fun question. And I think it's very necessary to talk about. Honestly, when I was starting college, so probably 5, 6 years ago, I vividly remember being told multiple times, not in these words, but like that I had to look more white, like less ethnic, like consider changing your last name. Try to
Hmm.
make your features as light as Anglo as possible so that you can get cast. And by the time I graduated college, that was not a thing anymore. It was like we want diversity, we want minorities, we want you to be, more more ethnic. So it's interesting to see that flip in just a matter of years. Um, that being said, I am a lighter skinned Latina. I look Latina, like I'm not white passing in any means, but I don't fully look or sound the way that a lot of, honestly, like a stereotypical Latina looks and sounds like on TV. Especially a couple of years ago, maybe not so much now, but I've been told that I'm not Latina enough, that I don't look ethnic enough for certain roles. And I've also been on the flip side where they say that I look too ethnic, or I don't look like, the rest of the family that I'm being cast with.
Hmm.
So I think we're still on a learning curve. I think we're making progress, but it's it's been challenging to navigate that for sure.
Yeah, I mean, that must be quite frustrating to try to, when you not necessarily specifically but when an actor is just trying to find their place. I know eventually there's typecasting and whatnot, but like even within like the Latina or genre, um there's ambiguity, and it kind of reminds me of one of the actresses from back in the day, Rita Hayworth. She was born Margarita Carmen Hayworth.
I
And
just
so,
learned this last week. Like someone told me that she was not white, and I was like, "What?" So
yeah.
I love that you're bringing her up too.
Oh, yeah, that's really serendipitous that we're
Yeah.
mentioning this. But yeah, and I can understand, like my birth name is hard to spell, hard to pronounce, and so I can understand kind of maybe changing things so you're more commercially viable, if people can remember your name. And I can see that. But yeah, I think looking back, they did this with so many actors, and I feel like it's a shame. It's almost like an erasure in a way of culture, because yeah, even you're Latina, and you didn't even have that realization that she that they did that or
Mhm.
pressured her to do that. So I mean, in this industry, sometimes we're given advice that may or may not be helpful, and it might be difficult to manage that, and you have to make decisions. Is this going to help me catapult to success fast, or is it better to go in this route even though it's more difficult? I mean, what have your mentors or peers suggested in terms of being cast, or just, do you work as much as possible, or are you wanting to be picky so you can find a specific Latina role? Yeah, what are your thoughts?
Yeah. So I like that you asked that because, to be honest, very few of my mentors, I'm trying to think through them, making sure I don't miss one, but I do have mentors. I don't think any of them are Latina women. So like I have talked to them about this, but just now when you're asking, I'm like, but they're not coming from even the same place
Mm.
that I am. Um they very much suggest like take what you can get, which I think is very valid as an up and coming actor. You can't afford to be too picky, but there are a handful of times that I've chosen not to submit for something or turn something down if it's written in a way that makes me uncomfortable, if I feel like we're being portrayed in a negative light. I don't want to be a part of projects like that, and I'm willing to put that aside. Yeah, it's more important for me to have some sense of choice of over how I'm portrayed versus just like exposure for the sake of exposure. That being said,
Yeah.
like I'm not saying all Latinos have to be like good characters all the time. Like there's a time and place, but I know there are. I've gotten a couple scripts that border on offensive. So
Mm.
yeah,
Yeah, and I was told in my film program that if you are this is kind of like a flaw in the industry, but if you do want to cast a Latina character or any other kind of minority, you have to put it in the script. Otherwise, there's almost like this default to cast white.
for sure.
So,
I've seen that a lot. There's because you get casting breakdowns as an actor, you get to read through them, and I tend to submit for anything, especially if it doesn't say an ethnicity. But I really like the ones that go out of their way to say like any ethnicity is encouraged to apply or any race is encouraged to apply. Because
mm,
I have noticed when it's not specified, it is usually like a white character or white person.
okay. So, I've always wanted to ask someone,